Hi, my name is Nick Fox, and I'm an artist with the Maritime Gallery at the Mystic Seaport Museum, and a signature artist and director of the American Society of Marine Artists. I've been visiting the Mystic Seaport Museum since I was a little kid, my family always putting in a half a day there on our way to the Cape from New York City. I continued that tradition, visiting myself, bringing my kids to Mystic, and now as a painter, which is why I was delighted when they asked me to share with you how I make paintings. When the gallery reached out to me, I had recently learned of a boat from the early Republic, the Union, which was captained by a friend's ancestor. I thought this would make an excellent project to share. Leaving Boston in 1794, John Boyd's Union was the first ship flying the American flag to circumnavigate the globe. Boyd was only 19 years old when he took command. Fortunately, the Union's log with accompanying sketches by its captain was published in book form in 1981, which is where my work on this painting starts. I was particularly struck by a drawing John Boyd made on January 29, 1795, of the Isla de los Estados, a place I'd never heard of. It's an island off the coast of Tierra del Fuego, so I went to take a look at it on Google Earth, and I'm glad I did. The topography of the island is really exciting, with 1,000-foot cliffs plunging directly into the sea, topped by lush vegetation. I thought it would make a great background for a painting about an American ship setting out on a new nation's rather dangerous first voyage of discovery. It is a forbidding and rather ominous place, but one I long to visit. Every painting for me begins with thumbnail sketches. I sit with a big pad of paper at my kitchen table, working out different poses, backgrounds, and light direction, with just a few reference materials at hand. The book, thankfully, provided me with details of the ship's lines. At only 65 feet at the waterline, she was a tiny craft for such a big voyage. I use drawings like this to create a 3D computer model of the ship, which I then bring into a rendering program for visualization. It usually takes me 2 to 3 days to build a model like this, but it saves me hours of figuring out perspective projections each time I want to change my point of view. In the compositing program, I pose my ship, get a sense of the scale of the background, and try to make sure key elements are well presented. You can see the actual topography of the island in the background, downloaded from Global Information Systems satellite measurements. I know everything in the viewport is scaled and proportioned accurately. Once I find my pose, I do a rendering and put a grid on it for transfer to the painting surface. My painting day usually begins at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. It's a great time to work, and my mind can really wander to the romance of the moment. A cool summer afternoon in 1795, a good wind taking this brave little ship onward toward the Pacific. I'm laying in the design using burnt umber, which will remain visible for some time through subsequent layers of paint. I paint using what's called the indirect method. Instead of working alla prima, which means all from the start, I start with a toned surface, then paint in dead colors, glazing over them to create multiple semi-transparent layers that, to me, create a superior depth of color and luminosity. I incorporate the Venetian method, which is to paint light over dark for cold colors like shadows, and dark over light to create warm luminosity. It's easy to do using glazes, but not so easy with direct method opaque paint. I always lay in my water black. This thin layer over the burnt sienna tone creates a compelling green, which, when mixed with later glazes, keeps the water from being too cold. Here, I've refined the composition, which means I decided to start over, using one of my little thumbnails as a guide. I glaze and then scumble colors into the glaze. I particularly love this moment, when I start painting crests on the waves. It's the first time I get to see the details that bring the painting to life. Another layer of glaze, and I will paint in with my final values. In the background, I'm painting a light gray over a dark purple, which will give me the cool blue of atmospheric perspective, which is the light effect caused by water vapor suspended in the air. It's why mountains far away look blue. At this stage, I also refine my wave shapes until I can really feel them, taking care to add in reflections that I know would be there and help set the ship in my water. Once I'm all set with the background, I oil down my surface with linseed oil and get to do all the fun stuff. Details like rigging, stitching lines, tiny crew members, and the ship's flag, mostly using a rigger brush. I will continue to work on a painting, often right up until I send it off to a collector or gallery, hoping the paint will be dry by the time it gets there. And so here is the finished painting. My goal is always to honor the explorers, the adventurers, and the natural world at which they marveled. It is especially thrilling for me to share this goal with the Mystic Seaport Museum, which kindles the same love and appreciation of the sea and maritime history every day for adults and children like you and me. I hope this presentation has been of interest. If you have any questions about what I do, you can reach out to me through the Maritime Gallery. I'd be happy to answer as best I can. Thank you, and have a great day.